if another book's released that's set in the other part. Is it skip? Hi there again, BookTube, Leanne here, and welcome back to another video. So I am now going to film my July wrap-up video, so I can tell you everything that I read in July. I think I had a pretty good month, apart from a couple of DNFs, but other than that, the books that I did read, I mostly enjoyed. I think I rated one of them quite low, but I think that's because it was a novella and I don't really seem to have much luck with novellas. And there were some aspects that were brilliant for it, but it just wasn't for me personally. I felt like, I'll give you my views in a bit when I get to it, but yeah, novellas don't seem to be the best for me anyway, unless they're like part of a series already or something. But yes, I'll get into my July wrap up with you, and I will show off my awesome journaling skills while I'm at it, because I have a iPod now and I'm excited to show you my new journal. So during my wrap ups each month, I want to show you what I've done in my journal, and it kind of gives me a kind of overview of what I thought of each book, and I make nice pictures. So let's jump into the first book I read in July, and that was In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. I rated this book a 3.5 stars, and this is my nice little spread on this page. This is just the start of July. But yeah, I rated it a 3.5 stars. I made a cute little spread for it and wrote down my thoughts over here. So I enjoyed the characters, bar the main character, because she was okay, but she was kind of selfish and very to herself, and I thought the book could have finished earlier than it did, and I didn't like the ending of the book too much, and there was more of the world other than where it was set that I wanted to explore and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was a good story, and I enjoyed the other characters that weren't the main character, but I feel like there was a lot missing in the book. I feel like it maybe should have been a longer book in some aspects. Some things could have been taken away or changed, but I enjoyed it. It's probably something I won't read again, which is why I'm glad I don't have it physically, because I'll probably get rid of it anyway. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and if there's another book released in the other part of the world, I think it's Cecillia or Skylar or something like that, I'd probably read that just to see what it's like over there, because we only saw one part of the world, and the other part of the world being introduced, there was a point to it, but there wasn't much of a point to it, because like we never really saw it, maybe in the background of a portal. That's about it. But yeah, it was an okay book. Like I say, I rated it 3.5 because I enjoyed reading it. I probably just won't read it again. So moving on from that, I didn't have a wonderful start to the month, because then I started The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This is my spread for it. I started doing a really nice little spread, and then I DNF'd it halfway through. So yeah, I thought it was too political for me. There wasn't really much happening plot-wise. The characters weren't standing out to me. The main character was just a bit too nice to everybody, even people he didn't like. He was just like, oh, let's just kindly push him away instead of just like, get out of my sight. He was just like, can you just back up a little bit? But like getting other people to do it for him, and it was just like, nothing's really happening. I can't read anymore. This is and I wanted to read The Witness of the Dead as well, but I couldn't read that because I hadn't finished the first book, so I just didn't read it at all. I again started a nice little spread for it, but then didn't read it, so that was that for me with that book. Also, In the Ravenous Dark was my prompt for person on the cover, going back to that, and it was the Faes and the Gays book club pick for June, so I read that a little bit late, but they had the live show a little bit late, so it didn't really matter too much because I still caught the live show before, like after reading it. So The Goblin Emperor was meant to fit a different prompt. Let me just find which one I think it might have been. Might have been the letter A, but I had to change it for a different book. I did actually hit all the prompts, so that's great. But yeah, I the books that I didn't finish or didn't read. I changed the prompts for something else anyway, so I did actually hit them all. So then I moved on to Binti by Maddie. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but yeah, I read Binti and I rated that at 2.5 stars, unfortunately. The premise was wonderful and I really, really wanted to enjoy this book and like read the whole series and everything, but then I read it and I don't want to continue this. The representation is wonderful because it was the people that the main character comes from, I've never heard of them and there are real people in this world, so it got me to like know about them and research them a little bit. But other than that, I feel like the plot itself was a bit too predictable and I didn't enjoy that aspect of the story. Like, I enjoyed certain aspects of the story. I think I liked the story up until like the midpoint, and then everything started getting a bit too predictable or convenient for the character and things just happened. There wasn't really enough emotion. I feel like this could have been a full-length novel and it would have been brilliant if it was, but it was a novella and it felt really rushed for me, and just plot wise things just happened way too conveniently, and the deaths that happened, there was not really any emotion behind it, and everything, it just wasn't my kind of book. And when things are that convenient, I don't think I can really get past it, so just wasn't my, I mean, I would recommend it to people who like novellas, definitely. It just, I'm not a fan starting off something with a novella, I don't think. If it's a novella within a series, I don't mind as much because I'm already enthralled into the world, I know the characters and all that kind of stuff. But this was my first experience with this world. And though the world was really cool and the people we come from and the character, the plot devices just weren't for me personally. So, I don't know. And then after that, I read, or I tried to read, The Wolf by Leo Carew. Didn't finish it. Just total DNF. I mean, it's very rare for me to DNF a book. And to DNF 2 books in 1 month, I can't believe it personally. I can't believe I've actually done that. I think I read about 60 pages of The Wolf, and it just wasn't my kind of book at all. I was reading and I was like, right, I'll probably get interested in these characters or the plot soon. And it just wasn't capturing me at all. And I just couldn't carry on with it. And I know only 60 pages doesn't sound like much at all, but I just couldn't carry on with this book. The characters weren't gripping me in any way, and I wasn't going to waste my time reading something that I just wasn't feeling. So I moved on. And what I moved on to was The Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and that is my spread for it. I rated it 4 stars and I completed it. But yeah, I quite enjoyed this book. The ending was a bit confusing to me personally. This was for the Faes and the Gays book club, by the way, for this, like, for July. So I read 2 Faes and Gays book club picks last month. But yeah, this was July's book club pick, and I've recently watched the live show for that, so that's good. And did this fit a prompt? Nope, apparently not. So I really enjoyed Zalia's and Serapio's perspectives in this book. They were my 2 favourite characters, and I really, really enjoyed reading from them. But then there was 2 other characters. Is it Narampa and Okia or something like that? I just didn't care about them at all. I mean, I rated this 4 stars based on Zalia and Serapio because they were just fantastic. And I think I marked it down, 1, because of the ending. It was really confusing and weird for me personally anyway. I don't know. I need to reread this before I get to the next book. And because those 2 other characters just were not interesting to me at all. I don't think they brought much to the plot. Maybe they will for the next book, like maybe they set something up. And I feel like there was too many like different councils of the city that it was set in. And I really enjoyed the magic in this book as well. I think I need to read more books with sirens or mermaids and stuff like that, because that sounds really cool, and I really liked the magic that Cecillia had, and I really like the magic that Serapio has. So I'm really looking forward to the next book, but I think I need to find a few siren mermaidy fantasy books. If you have any recommendations, put them down in the comments for me, because I would really like to see more like siren magic and stuff like that. That would be really cool. So please recommend me some. But yeah, I quite enjoyed Black Sun, and I'm looking forward to Fevered Star coming out. But I will definitely have to reread Black Sun before that. And after I enjoyed Black Sun, I think the month went up for me, because I pretty much enjoyed every book I read after that. So then I moved on to The Sword of Kaigen, which was really cool. I rated that 4.5 stars. It was a fantastic book, and it would have been a 5-star if it wasn't so, I don't know. I felt like it was being used to set up the world of other books. This is by M.L. Wang, by the way. So I think she wrote this book as a device to set up her other series that she wrote. It's the Theonite War story. So it's the Theonite series that she wrote. So this world has technology, and I feel like technology shouldn't have been there, like our kind of technology, like TVs and internet and stuff. And that put into a fantasy world was really strange to me, because where it was set just didn't feel like that kind of territory and that kind of placement for technology. So I feel like that could have been removed and it would have been just as good. Like, they could have had that one character that was there because his dad was fitting the technology stuff. He could have been there for some other reason. I don't know. They could have changed that plot device and just taken out technology altogether, because I don't feel like it was needed at all. And then, other than that, I think it was really cool. There was like scenes set in the past where one of the characters was in a different part of the world with more technology and stuff like that. But that could have been set up differently too. It could have been put more fantasy. So I think I would have enjoyed it more if there wasn't any technology involved, just because it just didn't feel right in the world for me personally. Other than that, it was an absolutely fantastic book. It's got a hell of a lot of misogyny in it, but it's used as a plot point of the people, like the men are fighters, the women do the home and the cleaning and look after the kids, and that's what women are there for. And it builds up this world of where, like, some of the women there are actually really strong and they can fight just as well as the men. They can use their magic just as well as the men, and it is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Following, is it Misaki? I think that's her name. Following Misaki, and she is just amazing. I absolutely loved her perspective. We also get the perspective of her son, and though he was a really cool character as well, I much preferred Misaki's character. She's a fantastic person to follow in this story, and I just loved every moment. I also feel like I know I have criticisms for this book, but I did rate it a 4.5 star for a reason, because it was fantastic, and I would definitely read it again at some point. But take the last chapter off this book, and this book would be fine. That last chapter, it wasn't really needed. Again, I think it was to set up the other series that was a part of this world. But I really did enjoy this book, and I would highly recommend it to people if you can. I mean, I didn't like the technology aspect of it, but I put up with it because it was such a wonderful story. So I would highly recommend it to people. I really want to buy this book physically for my shelves because it was fantastic. But I don't think I'm going to read the series, because I think it's set in more of a YA standard. And though I like YA, I think it's more urban fantasy. And I've read the read up of it, I've read the summary, and it just doesn't sound like my cup of tea at all. So I'm treating the Sword of Kaigen as a standalone personally, and I enjoyed it just like that. So no more needs to be added to the story really. I'm quite happy with the way it is, apart from that last chapter and the teleology. So moving on from the Sword of Kaigen and my slight rant. Oh yeah, that was a wildcard pick. I kept that the same. And it was a buddy read with the Wizardly Duo Discord, by the way. So moving on from that, I then read or reread A Court of Frost and Starlight, and this was not one of my prompts. Nope. But I read it anyway because it's just a short novella. And I know where I said about novellas earlier, but this was part of a series, like I said, so I'm happy, fine with this. Rated this a 4-star because it's cute and nice and it's just like post-war stuff. So I read this. This was my spread for it on my journal because I like showing you guys these cute spreads. If it'll focus, there we are. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's another Feyre and Rhysand story where they find things out and kind of start recovering from the war efforts that took place in the previous books. So yeah, I quite like that one. I'm not going to say much about it because it is like a prequel. So after that, I read a arc of Jonah and the Unpossible Monsters by C. Samney, Al Samney, M. Wilson. Yeah, it's a comic. This is my spread for it. Rated it a 4 stars. It was really cool. It's basically people having to survive in a world of monsters. I'm pretty sure it's a sci-fi. Well, it was my sci-fi pick because I had to swap it from something else because I thought Black Sun was sci-fi and it wasn't. It was fantasy. So I don't know. But I read this as my sci-fi pick instead. It was really good actually. It was two sisters who have been separated in a world full of these really big, horrible monsters, and they're having to survive it whilst trying to find each other, or one sister's trying to find the other. I don't think the other one's all that bothered. But it was really cool comic, and I would like to read more of the series as and when they're out because I quite enjoyed it, and the art style was really cool too. So I really like the aspect of it. I really like the theme of this comic. The next book I read was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. And I read this as my random letter A generator because it's got S.A., so one of the names begins with A. And this was also a shelf space read along, buddy read. So I rated this a 3.5 stars. This is my little, it's got Aladdin's magic carpet in it because there is a magic carpet in this book and it was really cool. This is the first book I've ever read with Jin as the main character, so like Genies, and I thought it was fantastic. I really want to continue on with this series and get the other 2 books in the series. So I rated this 3.5 stars because I did really enjoy it, and three stars isn't a bad thing. It was just, I couldn't get past the romance in this book. I just don't feel like it was needed. I didn't enjoy it. And I've heard that book 2 and 3 don't focus on romance so much, and it actually gets into the story a lot more with these characters and explores them a lot more. So I'm very, very excited to continue and see what happens next. I did also feel like this first book read as YA, but again, I hear that it's more adult fantasy as we go on, so I'm excited about that too. I just really am excited about this world because the world building in this was absolutely fantastic, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed these new characters that I've never seen before, like the Jinn, like who they are and what magic they have. I thought it was so cool, and a human, or somebody who thinks they're human exploring that world. I really thoroughly enjoyed that, so I am very, very excited to continue on with this. And then I read this beast, this thick book by Sarah J. Maas called Silver Flames, which is, I think, the final book in the Court of Thorns and Roses book. I'm not absolutely certain. I don't know if this is a start of a Nesta series or something like that. We'll see, I guess. But this is my spread for that. So there's Nesta, there's Cassian, it's a library and stuff. Yeah, I gave this a 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. It's just my, I suppose it's my guilty pleasure if I was guilty about it, but I'm not. I just like it. I really liked the friendship of this book. It was fantastic. The girls getting together who have all suffered awful, horrible trauma, fighting it together, making friends, and just it being a really, really cool female characters in this world. The romance was obviously very, very focused on in this book as a fantasy romance. So the romance between Nesta and Cassian was highly focused on, which was, I enjoyed it. I mean, I also wouldn't have given it a 5 star. It could be a bit much sometimes, and the language that Sarah J. Maas used can be a bit repetitive. A lot repetitive, but again, this is just one of those things where I don't care. I'm reading it because I just enjoy it. It's not something I focus on to kind of critique or anything. It's just something to sit and enjoy. So yeah, I gave this a 5 stars and really thoroughly enjoyed it. I never thought I'd like Nesta, but I really, really did enjoy her character. Maybe even more than I enjoyed Feyre's character, only by a little bit. But yeah, I highly enjoyed this book, and I, yeah, definitely wouldn't take that 5 stars away from it. And that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that I completed. 3 books were either DNFs or didn't read, so they are all the books I read this month, or this past month in July, and I think I had quite a good reading month. The start was a bit wobbly, and I actually DNF'd a couple of books, which isn't like me. But other than that, I had quite a good reading month. I discovered some fantastic books, including finishing a series, which was finally something ticked off my list because I am dying to get series finished now. I need to get through them, even though people keep tempting me to start new series, and it keeps happening and it's gonna keep happening. But my goal for the rest of this year and into next year is to get a lot finished so that I can jump into more series and not feel so bogged up by all of the series that I am in the middle of. So I'm very, very excited to do that. Thank you so much for watching my July wrap-up video, and I will see you guys next time. TTFN. Bye-bye.